There is a moment, quiet, almost imperceptible, when you stop running. Not toward something, not away from something. You stop running after people who were always walking away. You stop chasing the validation that was never coming. You stop begging for a place at tables where you were always meant to starve. And in that stillness, in that sudden, terrifying absence of motion, something ancient stirs. Your shadow wakes up. Carl Jung understood what most people refuse to see. The parts of you that you buried to be loved are not dead. They are waiting, dormant, gathering strength in the darkness you pretended didn't exist. And the moment you stop chasing, the moment you withdraw your energy from people who never deserved it, those buried parts rise, not to destroy you, to complete you. But this awakening is not gentle. It does not arrive with affirmations and soft music. It comes with rage, with grief, with the unbearable weight of realizing how much of yourself you sacrificed on the altar of other people's comfort. You were taught that love means giving endlessly, that compassion means absorbing everyone's pain, that being good means saying yes when your soul is screaming no. You were told you were an empath, a beautiful, sensitive soul meant to heal the world. But what if that was a lie? What if empath was just another word for someone who learned to abandon themselves so completely that they became a refuge for everyone else's chaos? What if your sensitivity was not a gift, but a wound, a survival mechanism born from a childhood where your needs didn't matter, where your emotions were too much, where love was conditional on your ability to disappear? This video is not about celebrating empathy. It is about exposing the cost, and it is about what happens when you finally stop paying it. When you stop chasing people who were never coming back. When you stop giving to those who only know how to take. When you stop being the emotional emergency room for souls who refuse to heal themselves. This is the moment your shadow wakes up and everything changes. Chapter 1. The Architecture of Self-Abandonment. You learned to chase people before you even had words for it. Maybe it was the parent who loved you only when you were quiet, compliant, useful. Maybe it was the friend who stayed close only when you made yourself small. Maybe it was the lover who needed you to be everything except yourself. Somewhere in your early years, a pattern was carved into your psyche. Your worth is measured by how much you give. Not by who you are, not by what you need, but by how well you serve others' emotional economies. And so you became the giver, the healer, the one who always understands. You learned to read rooms before entering them, to sense moods before they were spoken, to adjust your energy to match what others needed from you. This is what the world calls being an empath. But Carl Jung would call it something else, the death of the self. Jung wrote, "The foundation of all mental illness is the unwillingness to experience legitimate suffering." And here is the truth that no one wants to hear. Your empathy is not a superpower. It is a defense mechanism. It is what you developed to survive environments where your own feelings were not safe, where your own needs were burdens, where your own existence required justification. You learned to tune into others because tuning into yourself was too dangerous. You learned to absorb others' pain because expressing your own brought punishment. You learned to chase people because being alone meant confronting the void inside you, the void created by years of self-abandonment. And so you gave and gave and gave. You gave your time to people who never asked how you were doing. You gave your energy to relationships that only drained you. You gave your love to those who mistook it for weakness. And with every act of giving, you told yourself a story. I am kind, I am compassionate, I am good. But beneath that story, a darker truth was growing. You were disappearing. Jung called this the inflation of the persona, the mask you wear to be accepted. When the mask becomes everything, when you exist only in relation to others' needs, the true self suffocates. And what happens to the parts of you that don't fit the good person narrative? What happens to your anger, Your boundaries, your selfishness, your right to say no, they go into the shadow. And there, in the darkness of your own unconscious, they wait. Not forever, just until you stop running. Chapter 2. The Shadow You Buried to Be Loved. Let's talk about what you buried, not metaphorically, not abstractly. Let's name the parts of you that you killed to be accepted. Your anger, the rage you swallowed every time someone crossed your boundaries, every time someone took advantage of your kindness, every time you said it's okay when it wasn't. You buried that anger because you were taught that anger is ugly, that it makes you difficult, that it pushes people away. But anger is not the enemy. Suppressed anger is. Jung understood that every emotion has a purpose. Anger is the guardian of boundaries. It is the voice that says, "This is not acceptable." But you silenced that voice, and in its place, you developed resentment, a slow, corrosive poison that leaks into every relationship, every interaction, every moment you pretend to be fine. Your selfishness, the audacity to want something for yourself, to prioritize your own needs over someone else's comfort, to say, "I can't help you right now," without drowning in guilt. You buried this because you were taught that selfishness is the ultimate sin, that putting yourself first makes you a bad person. But what Jung knew, what he tried to make the world understand, is that there is no virtue in self-destruction. He wrote, "The healthy man does not torture others. Generally, it is the tortured who turn into torturers." And you have been torturing yourself for years, by saying yes when you mean no, by staying in relationships that corrode your soul, by giving to people who would never give back. This is not love. This is self-betrayal. Your darkness, the parts of you that are not nice, not understanding, not endlessly patient, the parts that judge, that resent, that want to walk away, the parts that are tired of carrying everyone else's pain. You buried these parts because they didn't fit the image of who you thought you had to be. But here is what Jung discovered. The more you repress the shadow, the more it controls you. It doesn't disappear. It just operates underground. It leaks out in passive aggression, in sudden explosions of emotion you can't explain. In the people you attract, narcissists, takers, emotional vampires, because your unconscious shadow is magnetically drawn to theirs. Jung called this projection. You don't see your own shadow, so you encounter it in others. The manipulator you keep forgiving, that's your buried cunning trying to get your attention. The person who uses you, that's your repressed selfishness begging to be acknowledged. The chaos you keep trying to fix, that's your own internal chaos that you refuse to face. And the reason you keep chasing these people, trying to save them, trying to earn their love, is because you are trying to save the parts of yourself you abandoned. But you cannot save them out there. You can only integrate them within, and that integration begins the moment you stop chasing. Chapter 3. The Collapse of the False Self. So what happens when you finally stop? When you stop reaching out to people who never reach back? When you stop explaining yourself to those who were never listening? When you stop making yourself available to everyone except yourself? At first, there is silence, an unbearable, deafening silence. Your phone stops buzzing with crises that aren't yours. Your calendar empties of obligations that drained you. The people you were always there for seem to forget you exist. And in that silence, something terrifying happens. You are forced to meet yourself. Not the version you perform for others, not the kind, understanding, endlessly patient mask, but the raw, unedited truth of who you are beneath all that giving. And what you find there is not pretty. You find rage, years of suppressed anger at being used, ignored, taken for granted. You find grief, the mourning of all the years you spent betraying yourself. You find emptiness because without others to serve, you don't know who you are. This is what Jung called the encounter with the shadow, and it is not optional. He wrote, Everyone carries a shadow, and the less it is embodied in the individual's conscious life, the blacker and denser it is. Your shadow has been waiting for this moment. All the anger you swallowed, all the boundaries you never set, all the times you abandoned yourself to keep someone else comfortable, it all comes flooding back. And this flood is not punishment, it is awakening, because you cannot become whole by only accepting the good parts of yourself. You cannot individuate, Jung's term for becoming a complete, authentic self, by continuing to play the role of the selfless giver. True wholeness requires you to embrace the parts of you that are selfish, angry, done with everyone's bullshit, not to act on every impulse, but to acknowledge that they exist. To say, yes, I am tired of giving. Yes, I am angry at being used. Yes, I want to walk away from people who drain me. And this acknowledgement, this radical honesty with yourself, is the beginning of freedom. Because now you are no longer lying to yourself about who you are. You are no longer pretending that endless giving makes you virtuous. You are no longer hiding behind the mask of the empath. You are becoming real. And reality, in a world built on performance and pretense, is dangerous. Chapter 4: The Death of the Savior Complex. But let's go deeper, because there is something you need to understand about why you chased people in the first place. It wasn't just about love, it was about control. Jung understood that the shadow contains not just negative traits, but disowned power. And one of the most intoxicating forms of power is being needed. Think about it. When someone needs you, you matter. When someone depends on you, you are essential. When someone is broken and you are the healer, you are in control. The savior complex is not selfless. It is a disguised form of ego inflation. You feel superior because you are the one who understands, who helps, who gives endlessly. You feel powerful because others are weak, lost, dependent. And as long as you are needed, you never have to face your own emptiness. Jung warned about this. He saw that people who dedicate their lives to helping others are often running from themselves. He wrote, "The psychological rule says that when an inner situation is not made conscious, it happens outside as fate." Translation: if you don't face your own wounds, you will spend your life trying to heal them in others. The broken person you keep trying to save? That's you. The emotionally unavailable person you keep chasing? That's your own emotional unavailability projected outward, the chaos you keep trying to fix. That's your internal chaos demanding attention. But here is the brutal truth. You cannot heal anyone. You can support, you can witness, you can hold space, but you cannot fix another person's soul. And when you try, you are not helping them. You are avoiding yourself. This is why the moment you stop chasing is so painful. Because it forces you to confront the real question, who am I when I am not needed? And for many empaths, the answer is terrifying. No one. Without the identity of the giver, the healer, the savior, you feel empty. But this emptiness is not the end. It is the beginning. Because only in emptiness can you be filled with something real. Only in the death of the false self can the true self be born. And only when you stop saving others can you finally save yourself. Chapter 5: The Modern Epidemic of Codependency. Now, let's look at the world you live in. A world that glorifies self-sacrifice and calls it love. A world that celebrates empaths and ignores their exhaustion. A world that teaches you to set yourself on fire to keep others warm. Social media is filled with posts about empaths. Empaths feel everything so deeply. Empaths absorb others' emotions. Empaths are the healers of the world. And beneath all of it, an unspoken message. Your worth is in what you give. But Jung would see through this immediately. He would see that this celebration of empathy is not about compassion, it is about codependency. Codependency is not love. It is a transaction. You give because you need to be needed. You help because you fear being abandoned. You absorb others' emotions because you cannot tolerate your own. And the modern world, fragmented, atomized, addicted to validation, runs on this dysfunction. Everyone is chasing everyone. Chasing approval on social media, chasing connection in shallow relationships, chasing purpose in external validation. And no one is at home in themselves. Jung predicted this. He warned that as society becomes more collective, the individual soul withers. He wrote, "Masses are always breeding grounds of psychic epidemics. And codependency is the epidemic of our time. But you can break free, not by becoming cold, not by shutting down, by waking up, by recognizing that the reason you keep chasing people is because you are running from yourself. By understanding that your empathy is not a superpower, it is a wound that needs healing. By realizing that the moment you stop chasing others is the moment you finally start finding yourself. And this is where the shadow's awakening becomes transformative. Because the shadow doesn't just contain your darkness, it contains your power. Chapter 6, The Alchemy of Integration. So, what does it mean to integrate the shadow? How do you actually transform from the endlessly giving empath into someone who is whole, sovereign, free? It begins with one decision. You stop betraying yourself. You stop saying yes when you mean no. You stop making yourself available to people who are never there for you. You stop tolerating disrespect in the name of understanding. And this decision is not intellectual. It is visceral. It is the moment when your body refuses before your mind catches up. When you feel the no rising from your gut and you honor it. When you choose yourself even when it feels selfish. Jung called this the integration of opposites, the union of light and shadow, conscious and unconscious, persona and self. And this union is not harmonious. It is alchemical. Alchemy, in Jung's psychology, is the process of transformation through fire. You cannot integrate the shadow by thinking about it. You cannot become whole by reading about boundaries. You must live it. You must feel the anger you buried and let it teach you where your boundaries are. You must face the selfishness you denied and let it show you what you actually need. You must confront the darkness you hid and let it reveal your hidden strength. And yes, this will cost you. You will lose people. People who only love the version of you that served them. People who cannot tolerate you having needs, boundaries, limits. And this loss will hurt. But Jung understood something that most people never learn. The pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change. You have been slowly dying for years, giving pieces of yourself away until nothing is left. And the moment you stop chasing, the moment you withdraw your energy from people who never valued it, you begin to live, not for them, for you. And this is when your presence changes. You stop explaining yourself. You stop defending your choices. You stop seeking permission to exist. Your energy, which was once scattered across 1,000 people who didn't care, consolidates. You become dense, unshakable, real. And people feel this shift. Some will be threatened by it. They will accuse you of changing, of becoming cold, of losing your empathy. But what they mean is, you are no longer controllable, and that terrifies me. Let them be afraid. Your freedom is more important than their comfort. Chapter 7, The Birth of the Sovereign Self. And now, at the end of this journey, you arrive at something Jung spent his entire life trying to articulate. The self, not the ego, not the persona, not the shadow, but the integrated wholeness of all that you are. Light and dark, giving and taking, compassion and boundaries. The self in Jung's psychology is not something you create. It is something you uncover. It was always there, beneath the masks, beneath the roles, beneath the endless performance of being acceptable. And the moment you stop chasing people, the moment you turn inward and face everything you buried, the self emerges. Not perfect, not pure, not some idealized version of spirituality, but real, whole, undivided, sovereign. Jung wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And who you truly are is not the endlessly giving empath. You are not the savior, the healer, the one who sacrifices themselves for others. You are the one who reclaims their power, the one who says no without guilt, the one who walks away from what drains them, the one who chooses themselves again and again, even when the world calls it selfish. And in this choice, you do not become less compassionate. You become more discerning. You give from fullness, not from emptiness. You love from strength, not from neediness. You help from choice, not from compulsion. And this, paradoxically, is when you become truly useful to the world. Because you are no longer a bottomless pit of codependency. You are a sovereign being. And sovereign beings do not chase. They do not beg. They do not abandon themselves for approval. They simply are. And in that being, they become untouchable. Remember that before we finish. The shadow does not wake up to destroy you. It wakes up to remind you of the power you buried to be loved.